this year really proved her mettle. Sarah just told me today she's responded to over 80 animals this year, which, you know, sadly is of the most we've had. But she'll tell you those stories. But she's on the beach. You know, even when Sarah starts having a bad day, I always say, go out on the beach. That's where you need to be. It's your happy place, even though she does these really difficult things. So she does it with a smile. She does it with excitement. She gets us some pretty amazing things to look at. So this is your 4th year as a stranding coordinator?
I think it's been
4th year. So we have a nice relationship with Cal Academy of Sciences that actually pays Sarah's time to be our marine mammal stranding coordinator. So let's welcome Sarah Brown.
I can probably speak without a mic.
No, you can't. Thank you.
How's that working?
Better.
All right, good. Just let me know if I let the mic wander away from my mouth. I might get distracted. But anyway, I wanted to say thank you to everybody who came out tonight and followed through, even though my last scheduled talk got postponed by the power outage. Gave me a little bit more time to work on my PowerPoint, which was fun. So tonight I am going to dedicate this talk to my mom. And unfortunately, she couldn't make it tonight. She's not able to do that. But she is the one that connected me to nature. I was raised as a free-range child in the mountains in Colorado. And she bathed me in the river. I had to bathe her today, so that's kind of a circle. I love her dearly, and she told me the names of the mushrooms before I could really talk. And she let me just wander through life and observe nature and connect to it, and for that I'm always grateful. The connection, these pictures here that are rolling are about connection, and they're through a photographer bringing these images. These images are Paul Nicklin of Seal Legacy, and he's a photographer for National Geographic. And he does, I had to put the bear in there. It's not a marine mammal in this case, but it's in the water. And it's my true spirit animal, in case you don't know. So Paul Nicklin, Sea Legacy, definitely like his Instagram and support him as he's given us permission to show his photos. But they're stunning. They reach in and get you right in beautiful photographs. And it's his movie there. So who and what has washed ashore? This is just kind of a report of what has washed ashore in 2019. This is, you know, one of the beautiful things I see. There's actually pink sand on the beach north of Westport. Beautiful, beautiful place. And oftentimes I go out alone and get to just take in the beauty what I'm seeing and then find things. So, as Sheila mentioned, we're designated with California Academy of Sciences. My work is to respond to reports of dead marine mammals from Rockport to Wallala. But if something interesting washes up a little north, we'd be working in Humboldt State, if it's in Usal or whatever. But there are organizations up and down the whole coast that are doing this work and responding to dead marine mammals and documenting what's washing ashore. And it's really important work because it tells a story not only of the numbers, it also tells stories of what's going on with these animals. And you're all part of this, and that is by making a call and reporting dead marine mammals. Even if you think it's already been reported, or not going to be interested, or any of that, just make that call so that we can get the information in. Super important. So thank you to everyone here who's made calls. So who may wash ashore? Anybody know those two fine creatures? Wrong and wrong. Not like Harley. You took that picture of the blue whale.
Oh, that's the blue.
And Silva's got black whiskers. My teacher. In dedication, this talk is also dedicated thinking, and in honor of all of these creatures that have died and let me poke and prod and learn, and let all of us, so I just have to include that. This work is hard, and I truly honor all of these creatures, and they make me cry, but they also allow me to do the science and let me be a detective and share their stories with you. So yeah, that is an elephant seal. And so of the baleen whales that we have here, there's just a few pictures. There's some humpbacks there with that humpback, and then in the middle there's a minke whale. The little minke whale, of which we had one strand this year. And that picture is of a baby gray whale just off of Navarro Beach. And thank you to that photographer who shared that photo. It's just spy hopping and peeking right off the shore. Something you can all see. Is everybody comfortable and can hear and can see? Am I blocking the view?
Should we have some chairs? You guys need some chairs over there? We have a few chairs that aren't
There's a
used.
chair up here. If you want to come and sit in front, you're welcome to. I see some of my young people.
There's one over there.
Okay, so these are just a few of the things that could wash ashore. Not all of them did this year, thankfully. Just the minke whale there. Of the cetaceans, the toothed ones are the sperm whale, the killer whale, the Pacific white-sided dolphin, striped dolphin, harbor porpoise. There's probably a few more toothed dolphins out there that we can see, like the right whale dolphin. There are more, so it's not a complete list. Of the pinnipeds, we have our phocids, the elephant seals, and the harbor seals. Just two of those ones with the short front flippers. And recognizable easily when it's an adult elephant seal male. A little bit more difficult when it's a young pup or a molting juvenile. And the harbor seals are our only ones that are going to breed here locally and have their pups so far. We're seeing the elephant seals expand their range a bit, and it could happen that we might find an elephant seal pup closer to home. They're a great example of what we can do if we give nature half a chance and help them along and stop harvesting them, give them that chance, and they can actually bounce back. Elephant seals, I think we're down to like 50 or something like that. They were hunted after whales for their blubber and equivalent whale. So these guys definitely pretty common on our beaches. And the pinnipeds, the seals that are eared seals, some of my favorites. And we have, thank you Ron Valley for some of these beautiful pictures, and to Jeff Jacobson. And I get to take a lot of these pictures myself. So we have our fur seals over there that are generally further out at sea, but they do come ashore when they're not feeling well, and a lot of the little pups come in. So it wasn't until recently that we started to see more fur seals. And then we've got our California sea lions, the adult male, and there's a pup. And the stellar sea lions, we see them on the buoys, they're a little bit more rare. And then I just had to include that picture of them on the Guadalupe fur seal because they're so cute. Here, so here's a picture of our gray whales, who are, I just saw a tree, and we've got some people down at Point Arena that are counting and watching whales today, and I said, have you seen any grays? Not migrating, but hanging out apparently, and today they saw fin whales. So, yeah, very exciting. I follow Tree and Scott, sorry, whale and seal study, and you can too to see what whales they're seeing off of Point Arena, neighbors to the south. So, gray whales. Here we're going to get into some of what we've been seeing. So here's 2015. We had Stumpy, and she washed up over just south of Fort Bragg, and she was actually a whale that people had seen swimming down south, and her flip was gone. So they nicknamed her Stumpy. And amazingly enough, she washed up on one of our beaches. And so Noyo Center team, including Sheila and I, and a couple of us went out and were able to get photos, and they were able to identify her as a whale that had been seen. I don't know how she got up here, how she moved, but they can. In 2017, that was down on Manchester Beach at the very end of 2017, and then in 2018, we had one down at Irish Beach. And you can see that, yes, there are sharks in the waters. Not necessarily something that killed that whale, but probably after it died, they had a little feast. So those are the past years. And then now we are preparing for more. Scott just told me they've already had 2 on the southern migration from Alaska that have washed up in Alaska. So we are prepared. Noyo Center is in a place to respond to gray whales that may strand on our coast. They're not doing very well. They are anticipating more strandings this year than last. Last year there was over 200 on the west coast. The gray whales are having a rough time. So we're ready for that. If we get one on our beaches, I went down and helped, and that's on, that's training in its best. That's working with the teams from California Academy of Sciences and the Marine Mammal Center, just to look for. They opened it up, like Valen's had opened, to look for ship strikes, to look to see if it's emaciated, to see all of these things. They collect a lot of data, the blubber, and we're actually able to dig in there and see and look for broken bones that would indicate ship strike. So that was really, pretty amazing experience and important to be ready for that stuff. And I have a great team here. I'll drag Sheila out of the office, and she's ever willing to help out, and a small beach response team. So, here's a little pie chart of back the whales. So you can see that harbor seals took the lead there. We did have 80 strandings this year, like Sheila said, that was high. And the harbor seals, it's a big number because we had, I think it was 34 harbor seal pups. And that's, some of that's normal. We're going to lose a lot of pups, and that's the one seal that has pups here. But this year and last year and the year before, we have wily coyote, sly coyote finding and being opportunistic and getting those little pups out at the rookery. And harbor seals didn't used to have their pups on shore, and neither did the elephant seals. It's not a good idea when you have large predators like the grizzly bear or different things, bears that would come down and eat them. But we've since lost those big predators, so seals have gotten used to having pups on shore. And now the character, coyote population's growing up, and they're clever to the fact that there's seals that are vulnerable there. So that's why that number is so high on the harbor seals. 34 of those were pups, and 25, I believe, were coyote predation. So that's pretty good. Yeah. And the other animals there, yeah. I'm sorry. No, it's all good. Yeah, just to kind of get an idea. So vulture culture. Thank you, Ron. Another photo by Ron, and one by Becky Bowen there, and one by me. The vultures, I'm reading about them, the story of an unloved bird. And turkey vultures are absolutely amazing creatures. I'm grateful to them because they help me find things that are washed ashore. I can't smell, and they can, which is amazing. And they clean up, they do an amazing job of cleaning up these animals that wash ashore. And they're out there doing the work, and I hear people saying, ew, here come the vultures, oh, get away. But they're doing some great work. So hats off to the turkey vulture. They live long, they're intelligent, and they're actually not fighting and squabbling. There's like a hierarchy that I can't see where one will step in and the other one will step out. So I really love the turkey vultures. I think they're amazing. So for the California sea lions, they had 18 responses. So by response, I have a lot more responses because there are live animals that I will rescue or go and check out. But these are dead animal responses. So 18 of those with California sea lions. And I will put a green twine. California Academy of Sciences puts wraps of green twine around their flipper. So if you're out there and you see an animal with a green twine, you know that I've already gotten the data that I need. And generally, I'm collecting level A data, which is measurements, species, and sex and age class, and level of decomposition, and all of that. And then for California Academy of Sciences, they'll have me collect skulls, or skulls and baculums, and whiskers, and tissue. So it depends on what the animal is, what I'll collect. And oftentimes, if it's a busted up funky old sea lion, they'll just have me leave it on the beach. And no, I don't take big stinky sea lions or anything off the beach just because it stinks. I collect the data and let the bird cultures in the ocean do the rest. Of interest, this is pretty cool. So I've always been a detective, and that's what helps make this, it helps me move on past the death and the sadness, is starting to do the detective work. And if you look in that little circle up there, there was a sea lion reported off the Noyo headlands, and that was all I could do, is look through my binoculars and see that blob down there, and I couldn't identify it to species. And so I called my fabulous husband and I said, hey, could you bring your drone out so we could get a better look at this? Because I couldn't get down on the beach. So Kelly came out with his drone and was able to get that beautiful picture on the left. And that, can you see what's going on there at all? Any guesses as to what happened to that? Yeah, it's a gunshot wound, a couple gunshot wounds, 3 maybe. And I was able to really zoom in and you could really tell that that was a gunshot wound. A lot of times you'll see a hole in an animal and say, oh God, it's been shot. But a lot of times it's just vultures working or whatever. But that was definitely a gunshot. It was probably shot right out in the harbor. And then this other animal down here was near Bowling Ball Beach. And when I cleaned up his skull, he's got these flat teeth. And I asked my amazing teacher at Cal Academy, what's up with the flat teeth? I've never seen that like that. And she said, oh, he's a shark eater. So he came in, he's been eating sharks. So it wore down his teeth like that. So usually you can look afterwards at sea lion teeth and they're pointy, but his were flat. And I think there's a lot of shark predation by sea lions down in the Bay Area. So that's kind of cool. And then these ones are pretty rough when we get a live animal report and then go back and find that the animal has died overnight. And then so there's the live animal, and then shortly after it died, and then I collected it, and its beautiful little skull is here. So kind of start to finish, and this skull will go down to California Academy of Sciences, and they have a library of 40,000 specimens, something huge, and they will put this animal in a catalog in the library, and you can go and future marine biologists can open a drawer and say, hey, these are all the sea lions from Mendocino County from 2019 into forever. So that's kind of neat that our animals are going into a museum for future scientists to look at and see. Stellar sea lions. I had one happy slide and it said, if we'd done the talk when I was supposed to, I would have said 0 stellar sea lions. But of course now I've got 1 stellar sea lion washed in last week. And she's an adult female. And all of my clues were missing on this animal. So I'm supposed to look at the shape of this little post-orbital process on the skull. And does she have a missing gap in her teeth and this and that. But she didn't have any of those clues. Her skull was bashed up. So it was by her size alone. She was a female and she was as big as a male California sea lion. So then I said, that's a stellar sea lion. So I'm not sure what happened to her, but I did collect that skull because it looks like trauma. There. And this is kind of intense. The harbor seals, so beautiful. And I've had shark there for one in McCarricker. Below the live one, and then predation, and then looking at predation again, where that skull is actually broken. And then last week I got my first fetus, so that was an aborted harbor seal pup that would have been about 5 months along. And for whatever reason, the ocean was really rough, or it was a young mom, or I don't know. I mean, it happens. Maybe it wasn't healthy, but Catch a Canoe called me and said, hey, they actually saw the harbor seal on the dock. And she had some blood, and then they said, oh, she left, but she left this little, it's got the placenta and everything, so it was about this big. Pretty tough, but also it's nature, so it's not as tough as the gunshot wound. Northern fur seals, we had 3 responses. That one is kind of a happy story in the carrier there, because that one was rescued and sent down to the Noyo Center. And then, of course, I have 3 northern fur seals. One of them was an adult, so that was brand new. Usually I just get pups, but we did get a sub-adult female on Manchester Beach. Really cool looking animals, and they just, you don't see them unless they're dead or you're out at sea. They do a cool little jug handle with their flippers. That's super cool. Northern fur seal. And this is 9 elephant seals, and 3 of those are totally unique to this year. Adult male have never, and since people have been, not never, but since I've been aware, an adult male has never washed up on our shores. So Noyo Center actually has an adult female, fully articulated, out at the crow's nest, and this guy is an adult male. So that's pretty amazing. He was 13 feet long, and Karen.
Is that the one we collected?
Yes, here he is. Yeah, so, yeah, Karen.
Sarah, where
helped.
was it collected from?
What?
Where was he?
He was in Westport.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, he was in Westport. So that's Karen. She's fascinated by this stuff as well, and is part of the first responder team. And got right in there and worked for hours to get this. It was a lot of work. That is a big animal, without a doubt. So, really cool about the elephant seal. That honeycomb inside the sinus. Elephant seal males right now are out of the ocean for 3 months, and they're establishing territory and breeding, and they're not eating, so they're not getting any hydration. So that honeycomb nasal passages, actually they get condensation on those nasal passages and stuff, and they get post-nasal drip from the moisture they're breathing in the air, and they get hydrated that way. So that's pretty cool. Guadalupe fur seals, these are one of the animals that there's an unusual mortality event happening ongoing for the Guadalupe fur seals. They breed on Guadalupe Island in Mexico. They also breed on the Farallones. And their numbers have gone from almost extinct to a few to now. I think there's over, I don't know, currently there's like 200 or something like that on the Farallon Islands. Really cool little critters. And it's pretty tough when they're that small to actually make the identification, or identify them as a Guadalupe or a Northern or a California. When they're little, they all kind of look similar. But we get trained on how to identify and see differences, subtle differences. And then like fur on the flippers and different things, sleuthing. Oh yeah, and an adult female. So that was a first this year at McCarricker. And Karen reported that one. And if we didn't have people out there looking and reporting, we'd miss a lot of these animals. So Karen said, there's a sea lion dead on McCarricker. And I went out, and she said it didn't look right. And when I went out at dusk, I looked and I was like, oh my gosh, that was a Guadalupe fur seal, adult female. So I was told by Cal Academy, collect that no matter what. And I said, but I don't have any helpers, I can't get it. And our office lady came out and helped me drag it. It was heavy. I got it into the freezer, and it's now the whole carcass is with Cal Academy. So, pretty interesting stuff. 2 striped dolphins. Actually, they both washed back out. They got reported and washed back out, so we didn't actually get to collect them. And then 1 harbor porpoise down on Manchester, pretty far gone, pretty far deteriorated. We did collect one previously and cleaned it all up and articulated it, similar to what we've done with York, and it's actually on display at California Academy of Sciences right now, the harbor porpoise. So if you're down there checking out the bones exhibit, check them out. Harbor porpoise. And this is the minke whale that we responded to. So on July 4th, I had the adult northern fur seal in Manchester, 4th of July. I left at like 5 in the morning to go collect that one. And on my way back from collecting that animal, I got a call from Westport, and it was somebody reporting this minke whale. So July 4th was a really long day. And I was able to get down there to that beach. It's not on Blues Beach, it's around the corner. You can only get there if it's low tide. And I looked at it and it's got injuries consistent with a ship strike, is what I will say, because I was not there for the ship strike, but it definitely had injuries consistent with a ship strike. And it was a young male. And anyway, really cool stuff. There's an x-ray of the flipper that we collected. And I only collected the flipper and then all of the blubber and the skin and the baleen and all of that, and left the whale at the beach.
And
The rest of it. And the hip bone, thank you, Karen, because Karen was with me again. We got one of the hip bones. So when a whale washes in, you want to get those remnant. There's the hip bones of the orca out there. Kind of a clue. And if you're going to collect anything, they want you to collect the hip bone and the blubber and the skin and the baleen if you're not going to collect the whole whale. And so we opted not to collect this full whale. It's had a horribly broken rostrum, the tip of the nose there. So we left her. But look at that tongue. That's his tongue, and those little bumpies I've never seen. Usually a whale washes in and it's kind of deteriorated, and the tongue's gone, but this was fresh and pink. And those little nubbies, I think, fit into the baleen when it's pushing the water out. So I've never seen anything like that. And that beautiful baleen. And Karen noticed that, see how the belly of the whale looks white? And if you expand those pleats just a little bit, it goes from snow white to black and white stripes. And I wish I had gotten Karen's picture. She had a beautiful picture of the black and white. So really a beautiful animal. The minke whale is one of the smallest baleen whales. And, you know, I have never seen a live one off of our coast. I know Scott and Tree have seen some minke whales off Point Arena. But this is the second minke whale to strand on our coast in the last 5-6 years.
Did you collect baleen from these?
Yeah, yeah, we have some nice baleen coming.
And shout out to Village Vet for what they're doing with you.
Thank you, Sheila. So Village Vet, they will allow me to come in with stinky things and put them on their radio something or another table so they can get an image. And that will help us when we put that flipper back together again. We'll have a perfect image to look at when we put the bones in place. So thanks. Yes, definitely shout out to Village Vet.
You're doing that for free for us, so that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Karen and her team are very, very kind to us. And beautiful imagery. I was able to send that to one of the interns who's studying in Scotland, and I sent that to her because she was the one who made the image. I said, can you send me that picture?
We have plans to do a Hidden Hands exhibit down here, so we'll use a lot of those images for that.
So I mentioned predation. That was one of the bad days where I had actually 5 harbor seal pups to respond to. They're fresh and less fresh and back down to skeletal. So that was coyote on the left. And then
Do we have that confirmed?
do
we
I
have it confirmed that it's a coyote?
I have to put the camera out this year. There's nothing else that I can think of that it could possibly be. A domestic dog. I've got prints. And I've got reports of the same thing happening in Point Reyes with coyotes. So I haven't seen the coyote kill the pup, so I can't say.
Why do they just take the head and leave the
Why,
plump
I
little
don't
body?
know. If you'll see that carcass there, has the head is cleanly removed. Like, it's just weird. And I don't know if it's like the great horned owl will go for just the head. And because the protein in the brain is high protein, and that could be what the coyote's doing, but I really don't know. And it happens every night when the pups are really small, so it's hard, it's really hard. We have docents out at McCarricker who are seeing this happen, and it's very difficult. It's hard to take. It's hard for all of us to take because they're amazing, they're beautiful, they're something we go
So
out to
where
see.
is the rookery again, Sarah?
The Harbor Seal Rookery is north of Lake Cleom, about a 5-10 minute walk up there. So this middle picture is actually kind of cool because mid-April is when our orca washed ashore. And he was, if you remember, he had a number of harbor seals in his belly. So mid-April I started to think, I wonder if there are any orca out there. I wonder if his family's out there. Because his mom told him there's harbor seals for the eating down in the Mendocino this time of year. Anyway, I'm doing that thing. But I started looking for orca. I didn't see any orca, but I got a report way up in Westport. It took me hours to find the beach where they had found a piece of pinniped, and I finally found just this bit of skin, and it had the perfect arc of an orca predation. And I sent it to our scientific advisor, Jeff Jacobson. He's like, "That's orca."
Yeah.
So maybe his family was out there again,
Wow.
feasting on harbor seals again. I mean, I'm smiling. I have to say that orca is an amazing animal, and hats off to him. The harbor seal, I'm sorry, but that's what they need sometimes. And then sharks. I've had two, that girl over there, the harbor seal behind that's a harbor seal that was attacked by sharks off McCarricker in 2017. And then this year I had an adult female and an adult male both shark bitten. And then both of those animals actually stranded alive and died.
What species of shark?
I do not know. I don't know what species of shark. Somebody, shark expert might be able to. It's about as big as our salmon shark. Okay, so what my teacher tells me is that she thinks maybe young great white. Because it wasn't successful in making the kill. Like maybe the harbor seal was strong enough to get away from them. But that was two very similar attacks there, like chomp chomp to the rear flippers, and that girl as well. So anyway, that's happening off the character.
We see a lot of blue sharks offshore.
But aren't blue sharks smaller?
They are smaller, but they still eat animals.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, salmon shark and great whites are definitely pretty close in here. People, the surfers have seen the great whites right off of the character. And then the salmon shark that we have in Jaws, you better check out, she washed up on the character as well. And she could have done that bite. Anyway, here we are, next slide. Sleuthing, so I work for an amazing detective named Sue Pemberton who works at California Academy of Sciences, and we've known each other through the years because she worked for Marine Mammal Center and we've done rescues, and she is an incredible teacher. And I can report an animal like that little animal on the left and say, I got a sea lion, but I couldn't tell if it was a boy or a girl. And she goes, get back out there and tell me if it was a boy or a girl. You have to look further. I'm sure you can figure it out. The only way that I can tell if it's a boy or a girl in that case, because it's missing everything, is that little teeny tiny baculum. And the baculum is the penis bone, and it's about as big as a toothpick on a young sea lion. So she sent me back out. I went like 3 or 4 days later, many maggots later, much higher stick level, and found the little baculum, and she was very happy with that.
That's in the middle picture?
That's in, yeah. So
That's the baculum?
Yes, it's literally toothpick. This is an adult harbor seal baculum.
Oh, yeah.
And a little sea lion like that, yeah, it's very small. But she doesn't let me just kind of sort of report. She makes me go back out and do more sleuthing. And she's holding a scapula of a sea lion there. And we reported an animal that was literally just, no flippers, no head, no rear flippers, just the middle part. And we reported it as a harbor seal because it looked like it had spots. And she looked and saw the scapula of it, and she said that it's not a harbor seal, it's a sea lion. See the scapula, so the scapula has 2 lines there, so it would be a sea lion. Harbor seal just has 1. So that's some serious sleuthing. And yeah, it's pretty great to learn. So level A data again, species, age class, standard length, nose, tip to tip of tail. Level of decomposition, we have 2, 3, 4, and 5. 1 is alive. 2, 3, 4, and 5 is like almost that creature up there, but like mummified. And then the GPS location, super helpful. And then if I sleuth around for any human interaction, because those are the ones that are telling us we need to change our ways. Was it a bullet? Was it a ship strike? Was it an entanglement? Any of those. And they're going to go to the next level if there's any clues of human interaction. Because those are the ones, there's a lot of stuff that happens, predation and natural death and all of that. But when it's human interaction, it's another story, like our orca who was entangled in pots, which affected policy. So we're kind of delaying the crab fishing this year because we want to give some space to those whales who are going through the crab pots. And we all love crab, myself included, but so it does, it affects policy sometimes. We tell them human interaction stories, like our blue whale as well, he was hit by a boat. More sleuthing, looking at those teeth as a way to tell, looking at this, I referred to post-orbital processes. Those are those little teeny tiny sticky outy things that are behind the eye, and you can determine species by the shape of those sticky outy things. That's a Guadalupe fur sail, little tiny, what was left of it.
You can tell the difference between a harbor seal and a sea lion just by their teeth, right?
Yes, 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 a lot about the teeth and a lot about that post-orbital process and the tooth spacing. And it sounds easy, and I've done the training, and I've done the training again, and I've done the training again, but I'm always learning. You know, there's more. It takes some really, you really have to get in there and look for details, and I can't just do it by one.
No.
I have to go to 2 and 3 different reasons why it is not something else. Why it is
Sue
not.
pushes you for three clues.
3 clues. Spots, not enough. Oh, the teeth look like a first, not enough. Go back and get more. Oh, it's so cool. She's an amazing teacher. Happy endings. That's Olive on the left. And Olive went down to Marine Mammal Center from Irish Beach, I think, and she was released. And that middle one is an elephant seal. I love to see that when they're just kind of up here resting for a bit, and then they go back into the water. And then this little critter was Bonbon, born early April, so premature harbor seal pop off the Mendocino headlands. And my intern and I were able to scramble down and rescue that one, and Bonbon made it and was released as well. So that fuzzy whiteness is premature harbor seal. They generally shed that negro coat in utero. So that was a really small harbor seal. There's definitely, I have the happy endings in my life as well as all these sad endings.
Talk for a second about the catastrophic molt so people will understand what they see if they see those guys on the beach.
The elephant seals, yes. So elephant seals, oftentimes you'll see a really sick, weird-looking animal, and it is like got sores and patchy skin and goopy eyes or bloodshot eyes. And what they're doing, and they do a lot on our beaches, is they're molting. So they're shedding not just hair or fur, they're shedding a whole outer layer of skin. And they just need to be left alone. They'll lose a lot of weight because they're not eating. But we do in Mendocino County get a lot of molting elephant seals. So be on the lookout. Always report them to the Marine Mammal Center, and we'll go out and check them out. And if they need our help, then we can help them. But they usually just go back out to sea after resting for 10 days or 2 weeks. And yeah.
They look so bad, people want to intervene, but
Yeah.
the point is leave them be.
They stink, and they're actually, sometimes it looks like they're burying themselves or digging themselves a grave. They're actually just
What's the purpose of that molt?
It's like shedding for a new, yeah, like dogs shed and get new hair, and it's an ongoing process. Elephant seals do it every once or twice, or every 2 or 3 years. They'll do a catastrophic molt and get rid of all of that skin and grow new skin. That's weird. Elephant seals are weird in every way. Mysteries. So this is a little fun for you all. You want to raise your hand if you think you know what that is, because oftentimes I get these reports. It's offshore. It's floating. It's... Any guesses?
I would say very well.
Karen?
A turtle.
A turtle.
Jellyfish.
Jellyfish. Turtle. Gray whale. I think it's a sea lion.
Oh.
It's a floater. I can't really identify it. It's a floater, and they happen a lot, but please report them. Because oftentimes I had someone, one of our volunteers reported a floater, and I went out to look, and it washed in, so.
We often get reports of floaters that are small whales, right?
Yes.
And then you go out and what is that?
Floated sea lion.
Yeah. How about the whale log? We got a report of a whale log.
I did. Big log on Big River Beach. There's a whale. It's a log. But thank you for reporting it.
Sarah, what's a floater?
A floater that's floating in the water.
Okay, we don't know.
That I can't identify unless, yeah, I just can't. So I just get to call it a floater.
We can't get 3 clues off that picture.
Many guesses here?
It's an octopus.
Yes, octopus. Excellent. Big one, right? Any guesses? Grimes, don't say anything. 'Cause he's gonna answer. He knows. What? Turtle eggs? Anybody?
So bad.
Oh, any marine biologists that can help out here?
That's a plant, isn't it?
It's not a plant,
Because I've seen them before.
it's a creature. Yeah, Mikey, tunicates?
We don't know.
We don't really know. Plastic. Really cool plastic. You know what that is? You see, it's a Noah thing. So this is the payload from a weather balloon that was put up, and it went 100,000 feet up in the sky off of Trinidad, and then it landed 3 years later and washed in at Puerto Rio. And I sent the box, they're supposed to send me a $30 check because I sent it back to them, and they can repurpose a lot of the tools there. So the weather balloon. So the stuff I find out there is totally amazing. Just getting out on the beach. I have to tell you, your part in this is critical. Getting out there and reporting and finding and picking up trash. And it feels good. It feels really good to get out there. And you'd be surprised, we've had a turtle in 2018 that washed up at 10 Mile, probably barely alive, and then shortly thereafter died. So yeah, there's always mysteries. And here's a little hats off to our volunteers who are incredible people and really do some amazing work. So there's a blue whale that, as you know, we're all working on still. It's her 10th year that we've had her, and 6th year above ground, right? So her bones are stored carefully, and we're ongoing work, cleaning, scrubbing, keeping them. And so what we did recently, my intern Sheila said, "Quick, we've got a dirt mover who's a magician with moving dirt. Quick, have your intern sketch up a drawing, have your husband tell her how to do this drawing and whatever."
To scale.
And to scale.
73
And
feet.
it couldn't be anything but to scale. So I had to actually go and find the report, the original level A data on our blue whale, and get the measurements of exactly how long her flippers were and her fluke was wide and all of that were. So to scale. So Heather, my senior in high school, sketched this up, and our volunteers got out there, and my husband built this fun little like chalker, and we outlined that to scale. And the guy, he came out and shaped a blue whale out of a dirt mound. Amazing talent there.
How
They
big was the
were-
whale?
What?
How big was
73
it? 73?
73 feet long, yeah.
That's what it looks
Wow.
like.
And there she is.
Cool.
Great shot. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you, Kelly. Those are great shots.
Oh, that's a Kelly picture.
And, I'm in there at the fluke, but you can get an idea of how big it is. So come out and visit it. Our volunteers spread all of that bunch of wood chips and spread it out around and moved the rocks and are keeping watch of this actual, and people are confused. They're like, your whale is now buried above ground again?
Yeah, a lot of people ask
So
that.
then, yeah, they're like, what are you doing there? Why is she in there?
So why did we do this?
Why did we do this? Anybody know why we would do something like this?
To commemorate the fun.
For fun, to commemorate the blue whale?
Hands-on.
Hands-on. Just the size of her.
Yeah.
Because when people go visit our crow's nest, they ask our docents, how big is the whale? 73 feet. And people go, what does that even mean? Right? Our orca is 26 feet, so she's 3 times longer than our orca. Or how many times have you heard 2 school buses long? What does that mean? I can't picture 2 school buses. Walk along the blue whale, lay down next to her flipper, spread your arms out wide and see her fluke. I could have like 5 people have a sleepover with me on her flute. I mean, it's just astonishing the size, right?
So we have a wonderful team of volunteers led by Miss Donna here that will be planting this, so it will stabilize the shape, and then we'll keep it trimmed, so we keep her, we keep the general shape, but it'll become basically a planted.
Ceanothus pink.
Ceanothus.
Blue.
Blue
Yeah.
ceanothus. That's Donna for you. Donna's like, it's not just gonna be grass, it's gonna be blue native ceanothus. Super cool. So, yeah. Here's our beach response team, some of them, whale bones, and look at the, it's just tough getting out there being part of this team. There we are with Reef Check we're joining with Reef Check to kind of look at the bull kelp that washes up on our beaches and the invertebrates and things like that. So she's actually, Reef Check has got us counting kelp heads. And that's pretty cool too, on beaches all along our coast. So Reef Check and Noyo Center are going to start these beach response surveys, so you can get out there, pick your favorite beach, go out every 2 weeks, and fill out the data form and report back to us. So those trainings for our beach response will be in January. So definitely sign up. I have a clipboard up there if you want more information about the beach response trainings. You too can be a part of this team. It's good work that we're doing, and really important work. The kelp data alone will tell, like, if a kelp bed off of Noyo Beach gets pushed by a storm, is that the kelp that washed up on Noyo Beach, or did that whole bed float down further south? Or we can look at all of this by counting and documenting the kelp that's coming. It tells that other story. So stranded kelp.
And abalone and other
abalone.
inverts that come in.
Yeah, the abalone gets knocked off the rocks now with these big storms, and so we go out, we reactivate and go and count the abalone that are stranded on our beaches. So it's not just the mammals, it's everything. It's the trash. We've picked up hundreds of hours of volunteer work picking up trash. The Noyo Center has done. All of these volunteers have been out picking up trash. Who knows how much trash we've picked up? Plastics and styrofoam.
Wendy?
Wendy.
A lot.
Wendy knows. Wendy knows.
Tony.
And there are interns, high school interns. Heather's going off she's trying to get into UBC. Our last year intern, Nathaniel, worked with us in 3D printing and building computers, and he's off at Reed College. And Chloe's still a junior in high school. And even my own daughter is going to go off and study marine biology. Not because she's following me around all that much, but a little bit of me rubbed off on her. And she's probably going to go way further than I've gone with what I'm doing.
You want to talk about Heather's project?
And Heather is this year, right there, she's working on river otter. And this year, Heather's senior project is to put together a white-sided dolphin that washed ashore in 2014 or 15. When we were first getting started, Sheila and Richard went out and pulled this Pacific white-sided dolphin off of 10 Mile Beach. And it went to the Marine Mammal Center, and they looked at the brain and they saw that it had brucella, of all things. So I've got one intern studying that. How does brucella get into the ocean? It's like a cow thing. And then Heather's going to articulate this Pacific white-sided dolphin and have it shown as her senior project at the community school in Mendocino. We're doing some really cool stuff. Our little river otter there had a bit of osteoporosis problems, so we continue to learn. And there's the sea turtle. So great work with interns. And if any of you checked out the little film in the dome, I have to say it's all about connecting to nature through photography. And Paul Nicklin is that man that did the pictures of the leopard seal, much of the penguin. The leopard seal delivered a penguin to him. He's a National Geographic photographer, and he did those beginning pictures that I showed. And there's Jeff Jacobson, our scientific advisor and photographer as well. And thanks to Sheila, Kelly, Paul, Jeff, Karen, Carrie, Ron, and I love taking pictures too, and all of you. So thank you, everyone. casually, I'll be here with my specimens. I'll point them out.
Did you get sprayed by the skunk?
I didn't. It was a baby skunk. It was a baby skunk, and there were 4 or 5 skunks on 10 miles. I walked down after sunset, and they were digging in holes for seed, little stuff. And that was, I did that. Yes. Sea otters, no. I have not. They've been reported here, a couple of young males with tags. But I've never seen a sea otter up here. And I think if they do come up, they're just sort of sussing it out, and then they'll head back south. So Monterey, yeah.
Did you see these packs during the day or at night?
Coyotes, I have not seen any packs. I've seen a single coyote at Spring Ranch, and I've never seen a coyote in McCarricker, though I've seen their scat. So the scat will tell. I'll collect scat this year and see that it's got the seal, harbor seal.
Why don't you tell folks about this?
Okay, something else. Sometimes we get things like that are donated, and this year we got a walrus skull. Like that just fell when walrus skulls fall from the sky. A man who was a pilot in Alaska, he passed away. His wife gave us the walrus skull, which will be on display shortly. And then last week, Steve Acker, who I've known since we first moved here, gave us a family heirloom that is a sperm whale tooth, and it was captured August 14th, 1857.
Wow.
And he just walked in here and handed us this sperm
Wow.
whale tooth.
Got that screenshot.
Yeah, it's a screenshot of the date.
Is it screenshot?
Pass it
Well,
around. You gotta feel this thing, it's amazing. Pass it around.
The other specimens up here, you're more than welcome to come up and check out. I've got the harbor seal, and this beautiful elephant seal, stellar sea lion, California sea lion, young sea lion, and harbor seal. And did I already say what that was? Yeah. Any other questions? All right, thank you all for coming.